welcome to uh, Mythology Madness pop-up show, where we're going to continue to work on Merlin the Magician. If I can get my camera set the way I want it here, so it's not too skewed and look weird. I think that's cool. That will work. That will work. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for stopping by as we continue to paint on Merlin the Magician. In session one, we took care of, well, before we started, I say we, me, before I started, I did a pretty detailed sketch on canvas board. I really wanted to capture a lot of creases and wrinkles. And then I did that off screen. But then in part one, I did the green wash. And then I started laying down some color. His cloak is going to be primarily purple to red. And I'm using the blue to kind of indicate where magic is going to be. And so this came out so good yesterday that I wanted to continue it today. I didn't want to wait another week before I worked on this. Because I was worried about how when this dried, that it wasn't going to dry opaque enough and it was going to look washed out, but it didn't. I didn't, at the time, I didn't think I had a good mixture of paint to water as I do with gouache. And, but it was a very good mixture. And I have some very good opacity of the colors. And I think it came out beautifully. And it just inspired me to keep going. I'm like, oh man, I want to keep going. I want to see where this goes next. Don't know how long I'm going to stay on tonight. It's about 9:25 for a time hack. Excuse me for slurping my drink. I've got a little mixture of Zoa pineapple coconut mixed with the little coconut rum. It's Friday night. Why not? Right? Okay. So what I'm going to do today is, yesterday I did a deep, what did I have? I did violet mixed with black for the really deep shadows and the creases. And then I took that mixture and I mixed it with some rose, and that's how I got this color. And I think next up, I want to mix crimson red with the rose and see what that looks like and see if that's going to make a cool color. And if it does, I'm going to start putting that in some places. The skin tones I haven't even pulled out yet, but I'll figure those out later. That's not something I want to work on right away anyway, so it's not hurting anything. Hope everybody's doing good today, whenever you're watching this. If you're joining me live, it is Friday night. If you're watching it after the fact, well, it could be morning, noon, night, middle of the night, brunch, could be all kinds of stuff. Let's look at the color palette that we're dealing with here. This is what I kept my palette from yesterday, which is the cool thing you can do with gouache. You don't have to, just a little bit of water and you can reactivate everything. Black, violet, rose, crimson red, and then I use the green and the pearl blue. The pearl blue is my magic. So I'm going to mix a little bit of crimson red with a little bit of rose, and I'm going to see how that color grabs me. And if it grabs me right, I'm going to use that as my next major color and see how it goes. But I do like the way the violet turned out, mixed with the not the violet, the what was that? That was rose, violet, and black. It came out really nice. So I wanted to paint a magician. I wanted to paint Merlin specifically. And ooh, I like this color already. Oh yeah, that's a very nice color. This is going to be my primary color right here. Oh man, that's very regal. I think I'm going to do a lot of the patches with this color here. Let's see if you can. It came out really nice. I'm digging it. But as I was saying, I really wanted to paint something around the Merlin genre, but I want to make sure that it doesn't look like Gandalf or some other magician that people know of from recent times, recent movies, recent books. Nothing against those wizards, magicians, and sorcerers. I just, I, if I was doing something like that, I would want to do something like that. And that's not the goal. That's all I can really say is my goal right now. That's not it. All right. So this is looking pretty good. I definitely like the color. And I'm going to start using it from here and work this way so my hand doesn't smudge too much of it, and see how it goes. It's definitely a very nice, regal looking color, and already it's going down pretty nice. I don't have enough water because it's not flowing smoothly. And tonight I'm not gonna fret because I know it's gonna dry the way I want it. So there we go. That looks nice. That looks very nice. And I think it'll give me, I think using the reds and the violets, the purples, I think that's what's going to, set it apart from the Middle Earth Gandalf wizard hobbit type genre. I'm hoping that as people see it, it kind of triggers them to, oh, that's not Middle Earth. That's something else. And then, you know, as I've been working on putting this composition together, I've been working on how can I be sure that I am distinguishing it as Merlin. That's one of the things that I've really been focused on. And I can already tell that I'm digging this color, but I didn't mix enough of it. So after I finish the sleeve, I'm going to mix up another batch, and then I'm going to do the shawl, and then I'll mix up another batch and do the arm. So that way I can be sure that each section has just the right amount of paint. Because nothing worse, like I don't want to be doing the middle of a section and then run out of paint, because the only way to spread it is to mix it with water, and then that changes the opacity of it, that changes all the properties about it, and it just messes it up, to be honest. Um, Hope everybody's feeling good. It's St. Patty's weekend. If you're joining me live or watching this in a relatively recent time frame, I used to hang out on weekends like this. I would be ginning up for tomorrow to go hang out with my friends, but I don't hang out as much as I used to. I've gotten older and I still hang out, but just not as much. And this weekend, I've decided I'm probably not going to hang out. Um, my friends are going out tomorrow night downtown, and to do the St. Patty's thing. And I probably will just be relaxing. I might be painting. I might be doing exactly what I'm doing now tomorrow night. In fact, I might be doing exactly this same painting tomorrow. No, I take that back. Tomorrow is Saturday night. So if I am jumping on, I'm going to be working sketch cards Saturday night tomorrow. And I'm going to be looking to do some Star Wars sketch cards. I've been watching Bad Batch, and I have not watched it before. And recently I started watching season 2. All right, so I finished the arm. I know up under here, I'm not going to use this red, or here, or on this part. So I'm going to come over to the shawl. I still have a good amount mixed. So I'm going to see if I can do this part of the shawl without changing the color. Um, this is definitely looking like I hoped it would. I love this color palette. Uh, a lot of times I'm not 100% sure if the color palette I pick is going to be um, what I want, what I really, really want. But in this case, it's looking like I made a good decision. What I should do is do a color comp first, and then I would be sure how the color palette is going to go. And if you watch me regularly, you know I do a lot of color comps for my Minotaur, which I paint and draw a lot because I have a game called Lords of the Labyrinth, and it features Minotaur, and I have designed probably over 100 different Minotaur for the game. They're not all in the game. I'm going to release them at different times. But I do color comps for most of them. And then I decide whether or not I want to go with a full painting. But that's the reason I do so many color comps, is because I'm doing so many Minotaur. Whereas this painting is going to be probably the only time I paint Merlin, to be honest. Something may come up and I do it again, but I'm not doing a full series on Merlin the Magician in different poses and, a bunch of different things. I wouldn't be opposed to it. It's just not something that I'm doing right now. But it is part of my fantasy art series, which I am doing for this year's calendar. JG2000, thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it. Last year, my fantasy art calendar featured all Minotaur, and it came out beautifully. I released it on Kickstarter, and it was received fairly well, so I appreciated that. This year, I'm going to do another calendar, but it will be featuring not just Minotaur. There will definitely be Minotaur included in it, but it's going to feature mythology, beings, creatures, and the like. So this painting, along with a few others, will be in this year's calendar. And if it really turns out the way I want it to, I'll also sell the prints for this. One of the things I've really been working toward is building up my print shop with original art. And I took down all of the fan art, comic art, and I'm building my print shop based on my fantasy art and my Western art. I have been doing some Western art. Now that is a little mix. The Western art is a mixture of pop culture and original. For example, um, I have a painting of Wyatt Earp from the movie Tombstone, but it's in the print shop. It came out beautifully. I also have Pegasus in the print shop, and that one has been getting a lot of attention, a lot of praise. That's the one people are gravitating to and ordering. It may just be because it's a horse thing, or it might be because it's a beautiful painting, which it is, if I say so myself. Or it might be a combination of the two things together. It's a horse and it's a beautiful painting of a horse. I can't knock that. I was worried that I didn't mix enough paint, and it turns out maybe I did. And once again, as it's starting to dry, I'm seeing that I do have some nice opacity. Uh, so I'm not hating on it. I am not hating on it at all. This here is hitting some light, so I'm probably going to go a little bit lighter on this piece. And this piece will be a little bit lighter. This piece will be a little bit darker. These two will be a little bit darker. But I do want to use this red. Oh, you know what? I really should. I'm going to have to, because I do want to go a little bit lighter and with a little bit of pearl. So it's time to start making some decisions here. Normally, when I draw, paint, do my artwork, I'll have a movie on in the background or a podcast or something of the like. However, um, YouTube has been shutting me down, saying that I don't have the rights to that stuff, and so they block my videos, and so I talk to myself instead. And that's just so it's not just some silent painting. I guess what I could do is I could do silent painting, and then when I post it, put free music, or what's it called, license free music over top of it. I could do that. I could actually play license free music too. But the reason I don't is I used to play license free music, and then one day it popped up that the license had expired and that video got blocked. And I was like, really? They can do that? So I said, screw it. I'm not going to do that anymore. Spend all that time and then get it blocked. Oh, pardon me while I take a sip. I don't know why this seems to be going faster tonight, but I'm kind of glad. Maybe it's because I'm not as worried as I was yesterday. Now that I've seen how it's going to dry. Yesterday, I was so worried when I was doing the purple that it was just that I was using too much water and it was not going to dry opaque. I thought it was going to dry like a watercolor and you were just going to be able to see the green underneath it. And I was like, man, this is going to be ugly. I'm going to have to paint this whole thing over again. And the purple just came out so nice and smooth. It didn't go down creamy smooth, which is why I was worried. Normally, with the wash, it goes down nice, creamy smooth, like this is right now. There's a few sections that I'm worried about. I'm like, how come this didn't go down creamy smooth? But for the most part, it's going down creamy smooth. I'm getting good coverage. Um, and so I'm not too worried about it. Tonight, this is the night. Okay, I'm going to take this red and I'm going to mix it with a little bright pearl white rose to get some of the highlighted areas. And I'm going to mix it with a little black, maybe, or violet. If I use the black, it's gonna kill it too much. Maybe I'll mix it with a little of the violet to get some more of that deep shadow. So I use my little sticker here on the side to remind me the indication of the light. So this is what's going to be in shadow. It's a nice little reminder for me as I go through, because especially not so much when I'm painting, because a lot of times when I paint, I don't really concern myself about being a slave to the light, because I can do rim lights and shadows and all kind of effects. When I'm doing my pen and ink, it's real important for me to put that little arrow there, because as I start laying down my deep blacks, I really need to continually remind myself what's in shadow, what's in light. And if I don't do that, I've been known to mess it up and then it looks weird. It might look cool at first because it'll have some nice deep colors in it. But then as you look at it, you're like, the lighting doesn't seem right. And it doesn't. It seems wrong. It seems weird because the deep black shadows are not in the right places. Now, sometimes they're not in the right places because of the rule of cool, meaning if it looks cool, do it. So sometimes it's an artistic decision, but when it's not an intentional artistic decision and it just looks funky, then that's not cool. We don't like it when it just looks funky for no reason at all. No reason at all, they say. And now I'm just kind of figuring out where I want the color play to emphasize those creases. I don't know how much blending I'm going to do on the robe. I know I'm going to probably do somewhat fair amount on the face. I haven't really decided yet, but it really just depends, because a lot of it, and the hair, I've not figured out how I'm going to do the hair. I'm looking forward to doing it. But I haven't decided exactly what I'm going to do with it yet. This may be a little experimentation phase. Now, if I do all of this, ooh, see, this is all one piece. And I don't want to use this red for that. I want this to be a different. So since I want to set that off, I can use it here. By having all of this as one, it's going to connect that puzzle piece of it together. And I think it'll look really cool. Every rose has its thorns. I don't know why that's in my head. I was singing it yesterday. I'm singing it today. Somebody stop me, please. And if I use that there and here, then I can use this color right in there, I think, or around the piping. I think I'll use, ooh, I don't want to use it for the piping. I'll use it right there. If if the puzzle, once it's finished, if the puzzle looks see, that's not going to be right either right there. It's not going to be right. I think I'm done with that piece. I think I need to go either a little bit lighter for here or a little bit darker for here. I'm going to start off with a little bit darker. And that came out too dark. Ooh, I really didn't need to put. Oh, I used the wrong color. I used the violet. That's okay though. This is not the right color. So what I'm going to do, that's mud. That is mud. I'll come back and I'll grab a lot more of this red and mix it in there with there. There we go. That's what I wanted. So I mixed a muddy color. Luckily, I didn't try to use it because it's ugly. But now I do have the color that I want. And I think it'll look nice. It's the crimson red mixed with the rose. No, I'm sorry. It's the violet mixed with the crimson red, which is not a niche. And I think that violet has a little black in it as well. So, but it came out the way I wanted. I got it the way I wanted it. So that's cool. That's all that really matters in the end is do I get the uh, losing the point on my brush is if I get to the end result, sometimes it's a little more painful than I want it to be, but that's okay. Get some water in there, make it creamy so it flows nice and smooth. I'm gonna test it right in here. Oh yeah, that's what I want right there. Good separation between the other two colors. That's what I want. And I can use it here and here. I lost the tip on my brush again. So I'll try to paint it out. Oh, that's some good creaminess on that color right there. Look at the way it's flowing. Oh, yes, that's how I like it, like that. Just, ooh, so creamy smooth. Oh, yes. And this is going to be all one color, mix it, and it'll connect that jigsaw puzzle together. If I just did everything with these little pieces into a big tight mosaic, it might look good, but it might look like, Joseph and the Technicolor Dreamcoat as well. And I don't want that. So putting in these larger sections of a single color are going to help tie it together. And that's going to be cool for me. I might be wrong. I never know until I do it, right? I could be thinking that, and then I do it, and I go, "Ooh, that was not what I was expecting." Okay, I got I got a little trash on my brush. There we go. Again, I can usually test the opacity. If it covers up the pencil line, then it's pretty good as far as opacity. And if I don't get the dry brush effect, then I've got a good amount of water. This one could use a little more water, but the opacity is good. So I don't want to lose the opacity, but I do want it to flow a little bit smoother. There we go, nice and creamy. And this will actually make it'll kind of draw people's attention to what is the true color of the robe, right? Is it red? Is it purple? Either way, those are both regal colors as opposed to the earthen tones of the Middle Earth wizards. So I'm helping to further distinguish it as King Arthur's court. And I've got a few other little things I'm going to do to try to bring it home. On the robe somewhere, I'll put in the King Arthur crest, which you wouldn't see on a Middle Earth wizard. See how that's kind of tying it together? And it's not drying too far away from the red. So hopefully the cloak looks more red than purple. But the purple kind of sets it off because of the blue magic. That's the effect I'm going for anyway. And as I look at it, I'm happy with the result. There may be a few spots that I have to go over or touch it up, or maybe even change the color completely, or maybe just put in some splotches of color. Like I could come in and just put some splotches of color. Ooh, I did it actually right there. So I'll just go ahead and do it. Just throw in a splotch of color to bring home the fact that it's a red robe. One thing you have to be careful of with the gouache is this was cool to paint over it because that purple was definitely dry because I did it yesterday. And as you see, as I butt these colors up against one another, I'll overlap them without too much concern because they're dry. However, water does reactivate Illustrator gouache. And so if I go over it too much, I can reactivate the colors from yesterday and then it'll start to look muddy or to mess up my lines. And so that's why it's important to get the color you want and make the stroke count and move on. Don't sit there and blah, 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 blah. Because then you'll just mess it up. You'll be mad because it starts to look like mud because everything's been reactivated. But that's what I love about gouache is that I can reactivate it. Like if I didn't work on this painting for another week, I could still reactivate all these colors with a little bit of water. And why is that important for me? Because when I go to blend, if I don't finish the blending for a week or two, it's not, or even a month. Like I had a painting that I didn't work on for almost a year, and I was still able to go in and reactivate some of the colors and blend them in. That's the great thing about gouache. Acrylic gouache, when it dries, it dries. Straight acrylic, when it dries, it dries. That's it. Um, and it doesn't, blend very well after that. Uh, but if that's your intention, then and that's what you're going for and that's what it's going to do, it's not a problem. Oils, they take a while to dry, and oil paint is made to blend. I mean, that's the blending beauty right there. Wash isn't necessarily made to blend, but if you practice a few different techniques like glazing, um, and and water blending, you can get some of the effects that you want. And the thing is, everybody does it differently because everybody uses a different amount of water to paint. And people can show you the technique, but you have to practice it to get the effect that you want to get. That's going to be the lighter, lighter. That's going to be the lighter. That's going to be lighter. The piping, I don't know what I'm going to do there yet. And this part, I'm going to start off with the dark, and it's going to blend into the light. So right around this area here, I'm going to use a water glaze blend. So you'll get to see that in action. But I do want to use this underneath this section here. I don't know whether I'm lucky tonight. I don't want to call it skill. I'm just going to call it luck because I am mixing the right amounts of paint. Freddie SP, thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it. We're working on a little Merlin magician tonight. And normally I'm always worried about, did I mix enough paint to carry me through the section that I'm working on? And tonight I'm going to say I'm lucky. I'm not going to say I'm good. I think I'm just going to claim it off to luck and be happy. Because every section I want to finish, I find that I have blended or mixed enough paint to get to that section. And that is not always the case for me. I usually don't make enough. And then I go, I lost my color. So I'm happy tonight. Maybe that's my Friday blessing. It's like you had a hard work week. The paints are gonna work with you tonight. And definitely I am pleasantly happy with the way this color palette is working out. I knew the color palette would be nice together. The colors I picked, uh, I did take some time to pick uh, some harmonious colors. I didn't do a color comp of the painting first on a little 4x6 or 6x8, but I did take time to look at the color wheel and pick out some colors that were going to work out together. So I knew that part of it, that they would work well together. And I took the time to actually do a detailed sketch so that I know where I want the creases to be. So I think that I did everything right to prep for this painting. everything aside from doing the color comp, which I should do. I should, because just doing a little color comp takes 15, 20 minutes. You make sure the colors are going to work together and where you want to put them. Um, for me, the reason I don't always do it is because for me, I lose a little bit of the spontaneity. And I do like it when I'm kind of thinking on the fly about, oh, this color will look good here. This color will look good here. As opposed to I painted something and I like the color comp and I'm trying to follow the color comp because then I find myself like always trying to look at the color comp and look back here instead of just kind of feeling my way through the painting. And it's a bad habit, to be honest. I should really take the time, do a 15-minute color comp, make sure it's what I want. Tiny the artist. Hey, how's it going? Thanks for stopping by. And this is drying a, li- a little bit darker than the red. So I could have gone a little bit darker, but that's okay. It's enough to distinguish between the two panels, the two tiles, as they're called. They're called tiles. I'm doing good. I'm doing good. So, with a name like Tiny the Artist, I'm going to assume you are an artist. So, what kind of art do you do? I'm always interested in other people's stuff. And Tiny the Artist, do you have shows on Whatnot? You know, I love checking out other people's art as well. And these two are, there's enough of distinguishment between them. I wish I had gone a little bit darker on this color, just a little bit, but that's okay. I think it's going to work out and it's going to allow me to do some glazing. What? You had the first show. How did it go? So you do mixed media? I do mixed media on my comic sketch covers and comic art, fan art, pop culture art. I do a lot of mixed media on pop culture art for sure. How did your show go? Wednesday night is my Dungeons and Dragons night, so I usually don't catch many shows on Wednesday. But one of the things I love about the Whatnot platform is the opportunity to catch other artists and support other artists in the community. So, congratulations on your first show. I hope it went well. I hope it was encouraging and not discouraging for you. You know, a lot of people get discouraged. It went great. Oh, so you you did your first show and then you just been kind of like banging them out. Do you jump on like every day and um and do a little bit? Post your post your link so that I can follow it. Or actually, I can tap the name and see it as well. So you don't. But post the link. You know, I don't mind that at all. Share it with other people. I love this community here. Too much FT work. Is that full time work? Is that the main gig? Hmm. So for you, is art or graphic art or some type of creativity the main gig, or are you like some of us where we have the main gig and this is our side hustle until the side hustle takes over and becomes the main gig? I am also a project manager. Congratulations on a life of misery. Oh, people always go, "Oh, that's pretty cool," and I go, "It's not. It's not pretty cool at all." Uh, at times, I feel like a glorified administrative assistant. At times, I feel like a firefighter. At times, I feel like a punching bag. Oh, everybody, pay attention. My favorite person, Hell Candy, in the house. Hell Candy meet Tiny the artist. Tiny the artist meet Hell Candy, aka Ray. So Ray is also does a little mixed media, and when it comes to details, she is the queen. Her monsters are incredible. They I think I have one or two. I know I have one for sure, but I think I have two. I'd have to go check. And I love them. They are so cool. Her monsters are so cool. All right, that I think I'm gonna mix it with a little bit of. Actually, this color might look good right there, and then I can use the brighter right there. Thank you so much. Yeah, she's the bomb. She's the bomb. I never had an idol, but if I had one, she would be mine. No, I never had a. That's what we used to say back in the day. We would tell people, I never had a role model, but if I did, you would be mine. Oh. So, what genre do you like to do, Tiny? What uh what is your favorite genre of art? What do you like to focus on? You like that one? I never had a role model, but if I did, you would be mine. Hmm. I think this is coming out pretty nice. I'm digging it. That is, it's a little vain to dig on your own art, but I'm a little vain. Oh, it's a little vain to dig on your own art, but I am a little vain. This is, and the reason I say it's coming out nice is because it's coming out the way I intended it to. Um, that's one thing that it took me a while to come to, is to make the art for myself. And when I'm working on the pop culture art, the comic art, the fan art, when I'm at Comic Con and someone's go, "Hey, can you draw Batman for me?" Then yeah, I'm doing it for them. But when I'm doing projects that I like, I'm doing it for me, and I think they'll find the audience that goes with it. Expressionism, abstract. Oh, I'm gonna definitely have to check you out then and see if I can provoke some thoughts. Yeah, the Minotaur is my thing. Like I say, I don't know if you were on earlier, but I have a game based on the Minotaur, a role playing game. I am a dungeon master for Dungeons and Dragons, and I created a entire world of Minotaur. So I've designed over 100 of them for the game, and I did a lot of them digitally. And then this past year, I started painting some, and I've been taking it from there. So yeah, I dig it. This is not the color I want. That's ugly. Let me see if I can mix it down a little bit. There we go. It's hard not to get a pink when you're working with red. When you want to get into the light, for me, it's hard not to get into a pink. Um, Not that that's a bad color. I just, most of the time, pink is not the color I'm going for. Oh, I just made a big mistake and put in a bunch of water. That didn't come out good. All right, I got to fix that. What is it that you love? Oh my goodness, I love that. What do you love? What do you love? What do you Are you looking at Ray's stuff? I love it too. Oh, I just spilled my water. Nah, it's just water. Oh, yeah, I knew what you meant. I was just teasing. Yeah, it's the game is called Lords of the Labyrinth. So when I am a Minotaur, I'm a Taurus, I am bullheaded, I am the quintessential Taurian. And when I first started playing Dungeons and Dragons, I played a Minotaur. And then when I started DMing, of course, I put Minotaur into the game. But then it was always the same Minotaur. Everyone was kind of doing the same Minotaur. You know, the fan art all had the same Minotaur. The books all had the same Minotaur. And I was like, can we get some different Minotaur? But then I remembered something that we talk about in the comic book industry. Um, if you don't like something, then create what you want. And I remembered that, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to create some new Minotaur. And so I came up with a few different Minotaur, and then finally I built a Minotaur dungeon, a dungeon just full of different Minotaur. And then I eventually just turned it into a standalone game. And the game is coming out this year. There's two parts to it. There's the part you can play with Dungeons and Dragons, and then there's the part you can play as a complete standalone game. I just developed the standalone game this year. Previously, the part that was out was the part that goes with Dungeons and Dragons Wizards of the Coast. Thank you. I appreciate that as well. Um, I've got a friend that I do. So I own an art studio, Brad Scott Studios. We put out comics, we put out art. And one of my friends who I brought on board, he's a pinup artist. His name is Lance Footer, and he is legally blind. He's technically low vision, but he he's blind. He's blind as a bat. Walks with a cane, can't see. He's an artist. He sees a tiny bit out of his periphery, and and he draws with a magnifying glass. If you ever get a chance, look up low vision. Is it I don't know if it's Low Vision Studio or Low Vision Art, Lance Footer, and on Instagram, and he's pretty unbelievable, and he's a really nice guy. Him and his family. Uh, but I bring that up. We were at Heroes Con in Charlotte, North Carolina last year, and it's packed, and I'm walking through the floor, and I was talking with somebody, and I laughed at something, and then I just heard him go, "Brad Scott," and I was like, "Who just called me?" He's like, "It's Lance. Where you at?" And I'm like, "Where are you at? It's easier for me to find you than you find me." And he was like 2 or 3 aisles over, and I'm like, "Dude, how did you know I was here?" He's like, "I heard your laugh." And I was like, "What?" He's like, "You have a very distinguishable laugh." And I was like, "What?" And he was like, "Yes, I heard you across the floor in the convention hall." And I was like, "Man." So thank you for that. Does that look too pink? I think I'm gonna have to glaze it with something. I think it's too pink, but I'm gonna let it dry and see what it looks like. Well, one day you may have to do that because we're gonna be in Texas together. Um, I was supposed to come to Texas recently, but I told you why I wasn't able to make it before. So me and my sister, we are planning another trip in the fall, but I'm probably going to come out there before then. Did you ever sign up for any of the conventions out there? I've been thinking about doing the Dallas Expo, um, Fan Expo convention. I've got to look and see if they've opened up the slots yet, and because I do want to do that convention and start doing more stuff in Texas because I have a place to stay because my sister and my brother live there. So I could do the convention just driving there. And usually the and booths aren't so expensive that it makes them unmanageable. Nay. Are you excited yet? Are you looking forward to it? Has it hit you yet that you're about to uproot and go for a major life change? But this is not, you've done it before. This isn't the first time you've had such a major life change. Yeah, so you're a vet at it. Two of my friends here, they used to own a comic book store. They sold it last year, or they closed shop last year, and they've been traveling around, and they just got back from Houston last week, and they were like, they had never been there, and they're like, "Oh my God, it's incredible!" And they went to NASA and some other stuff. Actually, as this is drying, it's drying more violet than pink. So I think I might be okay with it. That's why I can't freak out too much when I'm doing gouache because I know when it dries, it's not going to be exactly what it is when it's wet. And with gouache, lighter colors dry darker, darker colors dry darker colors dry lighter, lighter colors dry darker. And As long as I don't freak out too early, I'll be all right. And I think it's gonna be fine. Any pink. I don't think I've ever really wanted pink in anything I've done. Pink just is, I don't know. There's something about pink that I'm like, what does it go well with? Now, if it's an accent color or I think it's because it draws out so much attention that the eye is just automatically going to go to pink. And if that's not where you want the eye to go, it becomes a focal point by accident. And then you're like, ugh, that's not what I wanted. And so you got to figure out a way to dial it back a little bit. But I don't think I've ever intentionally said, I want to make something pink. This is drawing a little bit pink, but hopefully the pearl in it, that's why I really want to use it. It's a rose pearl, and I wanted the pearl in it. I didn't really want the pink. I wanted the pearl. Um, and now I'm going to mix it with a little bit of white, which would be the first time I've actually put white out on this canvas. How we doing on time? Oh, wow. That was pretty decent for 1 hour. That was just 1 hour. And oh, thank you, Tiny. Now, are you one of those opposite Tinies where you go by Tiny and you're 6 feet tall, 7 feet tall, and people call you Tiny? Oh. I remember when I was in high school, I was in martial arts, and one of the guys on our team, we called him Mighty Mike, and Mike was about 2 foot tall. Oh, you can be rocked to sleep in one hand. That's kind of cute. That's kind of cute. And I'm going for a really funky color. Now, I'm mixing white pearl rose, pearl blue. So pearl blue, pearl rose, white, and crimson red. This is a funky color, but I like it so far. And I'm going to use it on the robe. But because that end of the robe is closest to the magic, I want a lot of pearl and I want that blue magic to kind of show through. So this is actually comes out to be kind of a lavender, which I wasn't expecting. You can no longer be rocked to sleep in one hand. Well, that's debatable. What if it was the rock rocking you to sleep? Could I remember when I met I haven't met The Rock, Dwayne Johnson. I want to, but I remember when I met Michael Clark Duncan. And I always knew he was a big guy. He looked big on TV or the movies. But when I met him, I was like, oh my God, you are giant. He was so big. And a friend of mine introduced me to him. We were having lunch, and he shook my hand, and I'm a grown man. Although I'm not a big guy, I'm only 5'7". Still, you never want to just feel like a child next to another dude. And his whole hand like gripped my hand all the way down to the wrist. No, he was shaking my forearm. I was like, oh my God, he's so big. Super nice guy. He passed away a few years ago, and I was introduced to him. I didn't know him. I didn't like keep in touch. He's like, hey, Brad, keep in touch. But you know how when you meet somebody, it's just a little bit different when you hear about their passing. And he was such a nice guy. I was really sad when he passed away. I was like, oh, not Michael Clark Duncan. Um, I still watch Armageddon, and he cracks me up. You don't want any of this bull. Get out of my way. I'm just trying to buy the boy some time. Oh, I love him. I love him. I love him. Who else have I? And then I had the privilege of going to school. I went to engineering school in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and my school was downtown. And the bar we used to hang out with was the same bar that the Milwaukee Bucks and all the basketball players would go to after the basketball games. And, just going someplace, and then all of a sudden you see all these 7-footers walking in. You're like, oh my God, you guys are just huge for no damn reason at all. And then when I was in Arizona, I got to hang out with the Phoenix Suns because my friend sang. She was a professional singer, and one of the players, Women Tisdale, had a band, and she opened up for New Year's Eve for his band. So I got to meet all of the Phoenix Suns, like Charles Barkley, AC Green. Charles Barkley's a big dude too, and he doesn't look as big standing next to some of the other guys because they're huge. But standing next to a regular person, he's enormous. He is enormous. Professional athletes are just so big. And I remember thinking when I was in school, man, if I just net, thinking, if I practice hard and play hard, maybe I could play sports at a different level. But no, there's no way in the world I could have played professional sports any type of way. Those guys are just huge. They're just so big. Um, and then when you see somebody who's huge, I mean, a giant that can run a 540, you're like, what in the world? And then you can imagine somebody 300 pounds running that fast, slamming into you. And you're like, yeah, nah, I'm good. But that's why a lot of these pro athletes, their careers aren't very long at all. That's a lot on the body. But meeting them is definitely an event. Definitely an event. This is coming out pretty nice, pretty nice. Did you do a show today, Ray? Or are you doing a show today? I didn't have one planned today. This was a pop up just because I wanted to lay down some more color on this. I'm glad I did because I think this came out pretty nice. I wanted to get the rest of the robe done, and I am pleased at the way it came out. So, hooray for that. Hooray for Ray. Oh, thank you so much. You're sick. Did you catch a cold? You have the flu? I had to fly to Virginia last week and I almost got sick. I've been fighting it. Where are you located, Tiny? What part of the country are you in? It's funny. I had so flying out from Orlando to Virginia was no problem. The plane wasn't full. It was a morning flight. When most people are trying to fly, and it was a beautiful flight. Coming back, I said, I'm going to be tired from work. I'm going to take the red eye back. It should be empty and quiet. It was full, a bunch of kids. I'm like, who's bringing their kids out to take the midnight flight? This is ridiculous. I was so just done, like, oh my God. North Dallas. So I'm going to be in your neck of the woods. My brother and sister live in Denton. Um, and that's where I will be vacationing this summer. We should do art in the park. Do you ever do art in the park? I guess I should say, have you ever heard of art in the park as well? They both live in Denton. My sister used to have a ranch in Sanger. Um, but now they both live in Denton, and when I come visit, that's where I hang out. I lived in I've only done like plein air painting outside. Well, yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's plein air painting. Um, I call it art in the park. Art in Florida. Art at the beach. I don't do a lot of art at the beach because I'm like the water doesn't change that much. I am trying to get this blue out of my brush and I can't. I'm gonna have to change brushes or just take a moment to clean the brush even better than I have. But when I was growing up, I always did the summer art program, and it was called Art in the Park. And now, when I go to the park on the weekends, my friends will be like, "What are you doing?" And I'll be like, "Art in the park." And every now and then, somebody will join me. They'll be like, "Oh, I'm gonna come hang out," and I tell them, "I'm not there for your socialization. I'm there for art in the park." And the reason I like it is because the trees are different, the sun is different, the water is different, the vibe is different. When I go to the beach, and I do paint and draw at the beach sometime, but it's just not, the variety is not the same as in the park, especially people wise. Like sometimes I'll go to the park and, the people, the picnics, the kids, they just create a different vibe every time I go, and it's fun. And my sister, last time I was up there, when I was leaving, we passed this park, and I was like, "Oh man, I need to go there and paint." And she's like, "Oh yeah, that's a park I go to all the time." I'm like, "Well, why didn't you take me? I've been here for a couple of days." She's like, "I didn't know you liked the park." I was like, you fathead. Yeah, I love plein air painting. Um, I actually have a camper van that I built as a mobile art studio. And if the weather's nice, I pull out my gear, I sit outside and paint and draw. And if the weather's bad, I can sit in the van, just open up the door and stay out of the elements and still get some nice work done. The other thing is it helps me just, with the organic things that I want to paint, just getting out and seeing it. So that's a little bit more than an hour. We finished the robe. I'm actually going to try to glaze. No, I'm not. I'm not going to try to glaze anything. That would be dumb. That would be dumb. That would be dumb. Because I did a little bit there and I need to let it dry. I don't even have the paints out and ready for the flesh, but I do have the staff. So I'm going to knock the staff out real quick. I'm just going to use a burnt umber for that. So are you near the Denton area? Is that where you're located, or are you more? I used to live in Addison when I lived there. I didn't like it a whole lot, to be honest. Oh, okay. So you're more into toward Oklahoma, which I love. I love Oklahoma too. I don't know if I would live there, but I do like visiting Oklahoma. Oklahoma, where the wind blows free. Oh, okay. Cool. Very cool. I'm going to do a lot of work on his magical staff, but right now I'm just going to lay in the color and let it. This is going to be my underpainting. Because I think I'm going to give it some glyphs, uh, make it magical, blah, 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 the whole thing. I don't know why I was able to just flow so well tonight. I am in the zone. I wish I had pulled out the flesh. I don't even have those paints out yet, so I don't know what I'm even going to use. And nobody wants to see me here just looking at tubes of paint, trying to figure out what color palette it's going to be. Especially since I don't even know what the color palette's going to be. Oklahoma, where the wind blows free. Although I forgot what show it was when I was doing concept sketches. And I was like, nobody wants to see that. And they're like, yeah, we do. I was like, really? You want to see how I come up with a concept? They're like, yeah. I'm like, all right, cool. And so I did some concept sketching, one show. I don't know if you were on that show, Ray. I don't know if you were there that night, but it was when I was working on the Gorgon Medusa sketches. And it was just a show of doing concept sketches, I think. But it was fun. I enjoy concept artwork. That is one of the things I want to do for games and movies. And No, I love it. I don't necessarily think people want to watch me do it, but I love doing it. It's one of the things I want to do for games and movies is concept art. When I went back to school a few years ago for art school, I went to concept art school at CGMA. And another reason why I started doing a lot of the Minotaur, designing my own game, is so that when I apply for jobs, they can go, have you have any game development experience? I can say, yes, I developed Lords of the Labyrinth and the characters and the world. I love the world building part of it. And I here's what I came up with as far as the island and the way it looks. Yeah. And so I love doing concept art. And but a lot of people are like, what are you doing? Well, stop. This is boring. They were and so I was like, I don't, but you know, some people are like, yeah, I want to see it. So I'm like, okay, cool, let's do it. When I'm with some of my art friends, we will sit around and do concept art like for hours, just coming up with characters and places. Now, environmental concept art, which I absolutely love, a lot of people think it's boring, and prop art, which I absolutely love. Actually, I did prop art one night. I designed weapons for the Minotaur. I did a whole night of designing weapons for the Minotaur, which I thought everybody would hate. And people were like, no, I can dig it. I'm actually thinking I'm going to make a small wash with this brown and use it as an underpainting for the hair and face. And then that'll be it for the night. This was pretty good for an hour. Man, I don't know, maybe it's Friday night. I'm not worried about trying to get to bed on time. And so maybe that's why it's just flowing really easy for me tonight. Thank you. I appreciate it. I gotta say this is the fastest I've been in a long time. Oh shoot! This is the fastest I've been in a long time. Ugh. Drop my brush. Um, but I do want to kill the green and let it dry. So I'm going to take a little bit of the brown and just do a wash, because then I'll have all the green of the character gone. And that'll help me. This is canvas panel board. So it has some thickness to it. Um, for the paper, when I'm doing just paper painting, I'll use the cotton uh, cotton paper, and but for the full paintings, um, I'll use the canvas board because these paintings sell for $500. So I want to make them worth worth the money. Cotton picking paper. Oh, getting some of that cotton picking paper. I remember growing up, I would do stupid stuff, and sometimes my mother would tell me, "Have you lost your cotton picking mind?" I'm already getting rid of this green and the flesh tone. I'm already digging it. And this brown burnt umber wash underneath will automatically create some nice shadow underneath whatever color I decide to go with. And I like doing the washes because then I don't have to worry about I missed a spot when I'm painting. Like some of these places I missed in underneath here, if they reflect the green, I don't mind too much because it's a forest setting. I and one of the reasons why I want to do the wash is because I need to thicken up the background, which that part I might do that off screen just because I definitely don't think anybody just wants to see me sit here and paint large green background. But if I'm going to do it, I might do it on camera just because I got to do it anyway. So I might just do it on camera, but it'll be at some funky time because I want it to dry before I get into the rest of it. But this kills that green. I don't want him looking green and sick underneath. But the brown will be a nice shadow. One of the tricks I learned about painting people is a course I was taking with Watts Atelier out in California. I was doing the online course, and all credit for this goes to Jeff Watts Atelier. Nothing to do with Brad Scott, but I've tried it and it works great. Is using 3 different tones for the face, where the forehead is more of a yellow, the middle of the face around the nose and ears is red, and then the chin on the male would be blue as the underpainting underwash. And it works so well. It really makes skin tones, regardless of the ethnicity of the person, those colors as the underwash work really great because the blood around the nose and the ears where the skin is more translucent and thin, the forehead where the sun hits it with more of a yellow or maybe a red depending, and then the blue for the male because of the facial hair. It looks so good. It looks so good. So that's what I'll probably do here is do some type of mixture of yellow, red, blue with the brown hair, and I think it'll come out nice. I want to keep going. I really want to keep going. Hey, Drippy Art, what's happening? Nice to see you stopping by. I really want to keep going, but this has to dry now. I've got the robe done. I've got the staff done. I've got the wash done for the painting. And I really need to do the background next so that when I finish it, the picture is on top of the background versus the background's on top of the picture. Yeah, I'm digging it. I'm digging it. I want to keep going, but I know I have to take a break, not just for this to dry, but to relax my hands a little bit. Yesterday, I went for like 2 or 3 hours straight, and I needed to massage my hands when I finished. But I really like the way this is coming out. I don't think it'll be mistaken for any of the Middle Earth type wizards. I've got to come up with some King Arthur stuff to add into it to really to bring it to the Knights of the Round Table time period. I've got the blue magic coming from the staff off screen. Oh, thank you so much, Drippy Art. Thank you, Tiny. I'm definitely going to check out Tiny. Drippy Art also sounds like an artist, so I need to check you out. What type of art? I'm going to leave this here to get a nice thumb shot. What type of art do you do, Drippy? Almost sounds like graffiti. Here's what the palette looks like. It's just a mess, but that's the way I love it. And I keep it until I'm done because I can always reactivate with a little bit of water, be like, ooh, I want some of this color mixed with that. And that's how I got the blue into the violet and the red. And I just keep it all on here until I'm done. And then I clean it all off because I use a aluminum butcher tray. And I can just soak it, clean it all off, and it's ready to go. Oh, dang. Wow, Ray just called you out. Just called you out big time. I will definitely check you out as well. Drippy and Tiny, I will definitely be checking you all out. Thanks for stopping by. This was just a pop-up show because I was really motivated to continue to get this part of the painting done so that I could kind of plan out what I want to do next. What I'll probably do is take a picture and then play with it on my iPad a little bit and kind of come up with how I want to finish it out. But thanks for stopping by. I'm going to check you all out. And tomorrow night is Sketch Card Saturday night. I will be doing Star Wars, and I'll be doing $1 sketch cards for The Bad Batch, a show I just got hip to. I haven't been watching it. I just started with season 1. I'm on season 2. I've been binge watching it, and it is so cool. I wish I had been watching it the whole time. The Bad Batch, highly recommend it. It's the bomb. Thank you all for hanging out with me. I appreciate it. Drippy Art, get your shit together. And Tiny, I'm going to be checking you out. Maybe we'll run in each other sometime in North Dallas. All right, you all take it easy. I'll talk to you later. Stop by tomorrow if you're not doing anything. Sketch Card Saturday night. We'll do some Star Wars. Peace out.